So we've known the MCU has just been on a consistent downward decline for quite some time. This might be the first time where the MCU is taking a hit about a movie that hasn't even been released. And I mean like a big hit. I'm not talking about people saying, oh, we didn't want Ironheart or we didn't want Echo. Like, no, people were and are still willing to see those projects. When I say that there is a movie that started off with so much hype, I wanted to see, I kind of still do, but it's gotten to a point where I'm like, you know what? Scrap it. I don't care anymore. I'm sick of it. I don't even want to hear about it. The Blade movie. Blade was supposed to be the ones in the MCU. Like, I think a lot of people who are, even if you already gave up hope on the MCU, I think a lot of people were like, hey man, they just announced Blade and they're going to have Mahershala Ali play Blade. That's not a lightweight actor, okay? Like that is the best. If anything, I think he was like the number one guy that a lot of people were like, get Mahershala Ali to play Blade and everyone will show up and show out. And then we got the news. He was cast for the role. Lovely. That was in 2019. It's been 5 years. We really should be getting we probably should have got a movie at least a year, maybe 2 years ago if you wanted to push it. I don't think they're even filming. And as a result of all this back and forth, the different replacing of personnel, the script being scrapped, I think a few different times. Let me rewind all of this. What started this off and what inspired me to make this video was seeing an Instagram post. It was a post saying there's a possibility that the MCU or Marvel may cancel an MCU project. And it was either going to be Blade or I forget. If I can find the post, I'll see if I can put it up and I'll find the second one. But it was between Blade and something else. And my response in my personal, just story post was, for all I care, get rid of Blade. It's been 5 years since you've announced that this man was going to play Blade. We didn't want I don't think really anybody else was really considered, not even by Marvel. I don't think no one else by the fan base was considering anyone other than Mahershala Ali to play Blade, and we got who we wanted. And now it's like, yes, now just film it. Please do it right. Please do not let the script be ass. And we will show up. We want it. This could be a whole different side to the MCU, a whole different group of people, villains, whoever. Then you teased us in Eternals, which a lot of people crapped on Eternals. I did too. I may actually make a video about that because I rewatched it recently. The Eternals actually may be a good movie, but we'll talk about that in a later video. Maybe. It doesn't have the same hype anymore. The Blade movie doesn't have the same hype anymore. There's been so many delays. And then on top of, that post I saw that said that Blade may be up to be considered to be canceled, there was also another post that I saw, and I'll see if I can look up like actual like news articles or something, where Ali's lawyer said that they landed the role in 2019 and he literally has not heard anything since. It has been 5 years and Ali's lawyer has not heard anything since then. That's how bad it's been. But bottom line, it just doesn't have the same hype anymore. I don't know about this. Maybe it's just me personally. I'm not, burnt out of the MCU. I'm sick of their, inconsistent quality, but you have to consider the thought that fans of Marvel, or at least fans of the MCU, because people like me didn't grow up reading the comics consistently, there may be a burnout when it comes to the MCU. Now, I think a big part of that, again, is the inconsistency with the quality of the products that they've been putting out. A lot of people would say that ever since the end of phase 3, the only real glimmers of hope in the MCU since phase 4 started, and I don't think we're in phase 5 yet. So ever since phase 4 started, the only glimmers of hope that a lot of people will highlight is Spider-Man No Way Home, and definitely not Thor. Thor Love and Thunder was terrible. I'm just blanking on everything. What is going on with me around this time? Spider-Man No Way Home was definitely one of those movies that people considered one of the like glimmering hopes left of the MCU. And even then, some people are kind of iffy about it because it was very fan servicey, which I don't mind, multi-dimensional stuff. I personally didn't hate Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. That's just me. A lot of people hated it. I understand a lot of their talking points saying that it could went deeper into the multiverse concept, but just as content, I didn't hate it. A lot of people don't like the Marvels. I personally think the Marvels is one of the most fun, up to a point, was the most fun Marvel movie we had gotten in a long time. You have to still consider not only due to quality, but just the sheer amount of content we've been getting from Marvel. Fans may either need, a break from Marvel altogether, not necessarily from superheroes, because then Deadpool wouldn't have done so well, and Deadpool was great. Yeah, Deadpool, that was the one. When she said that Spider-Man and Deadpool were the two like glimmers of hope in the MCU ever since the end of Phase 3. That was what it was. Some folks may be burnt out. Some folks think it was superhero fatigue. It wasn't superhero fatigue, which by definition, because Spider-Man and more recently, Deadpool did so well, that it's not even Marvel fatigue. So I think the main thing that might be slowing a lot of people up is we're antsy about what we're gonna get whenever we walk into these theaters, and we don't know if we're gonna love it or hate it. And at this point, it's literally that polarizing. There's very few projects, if any, since the end of Phase 3 that has landed us in the space of, it was good, I overall like it, but these few things maybe didn't relate to the comics. It's not typically like the character. The script wasn't that great in certain spots, where the case may be. But it's still something we have to, consider, that there are people who are just sick of the MCU, not because they hate it through and through and they wouldn't mind seeing more content, but they just need a break from it for the time being. This is where the Eternals, and I mentioned the Eternals intentionally because of this. I think what contributed to the failure of the Eternals, to the point where getting a sequel has been canceled. I think at this point it's been officially canceled to give it a sequel. And at one point, I was happy about that, or I would have been happy about that. Now I'm kind of like, eh. But the reason I think for me and a lot of people did not care for the Eternals is because we failed to see, especially piggybacking straight off of Phase 3, we were going into the Kang multiverse thing, and we were trying to see, how does this connect to the multiverse? How does this connect to Kang? How does this connect to the bigger just theme of these sagas that's supposed to lead to another face-off with another big bad? And I know for me personally, that's what I was looking for. And that's what led to me not liking it that much in the first place. And I think for a whole lot of stuff, a lot of people didn't like the Marvels because they felt like it was very generic and the actresses weren't great. I think that's BS. I think the Marvels, again, at the time of the Marvels coming out, was the most fun Marvel movie that we had gotten in quite some time. It didn't have to be deep. The fact that it's funny because while to the Eternals, its failure can be contributed to its lack of contribution to the continuity of Kang and the multiverse theme, I feel like that's what actually worked for the Marvels. It was just fun. They had their own villain. Yeah, she might have been a little more generic. I still think she had a good motive. It just wasn't special. But, it's something we've seen before. I think it was just fun. It was a good time. I think the actresses meshed well. And then they added that little thing of the multiverse at the very end. It's like, okay, this is... So they are going to include these group of heroines with the multiverse thing, and, so it wasn't quite as random, but they still had their own standalone chain of events that we were able to enjoy before making it connect to that. Because I think it's important for Marvel to be able to have its own independent storylines, which actually has been a consistent complaint of the fan base, which is you guys aren't setting the tone for these individual characters before tying them into this larger plot. I think the Marvels actually executed that very well. It was standalone. It didn't have a bigger thing other than what was right in front of their face, but they still found a way to, tie that thread into the multiverse saga / mutant saga. It was fun, at least to me. Now, when you include She-Hulk, I haven't seen Echo. Ironheart apparently still coming out. I don't know how I feel about that. Moon Knight, even outside the Eternals, there's just been a consistent thing of how does this connect to the larger thing? And especially with the fall of Kang, because Jonathan Majors got in trouble with his court case. So now they have to pivot from that and, kind of clean up the remains from Kang to direct it towards Dr. Doom, which Robert Downey Jr. will now be personifying. It's a mess. That's the best way I can put it without going on too much longer about it. It's a mess. Let's bring this back to Blade. And I would say the most blatant, obvious thing that really killed it about Ali's potential portrayal of Blade that I still want to see, but at the same time, I just don't care. What Wesley Snipes said in the Deadpool movie, when it was like, there's one Blade and there's always only going to be one Blade. Obviously, with Deadpool being the type of character to break the fourth wall, it's like, okay, what Deadpool, or rather Blade isn't the type of character to actually break the fourth wall, but they channeled that through Deadpool when Ryan Reynolds looked at the camera as if message, you know what I'm saying? Like it was almost like it was to put it to rest. Like the writers were trying to make it known, like, yeah, we're aware of all the BS about the Blade movie. I don't think they've even started. We haven't seen any pictures. We haven't seen him in a costume. I can take what Wesley Snipes said at face value and say there truly will be no other Blade. And I think for some people, some fans, especially those who actually enjoyed the Deadpool movie, that can be taken at face value of, yeah, it's cooked. It's dead. Don't expect the Blade movie. You know, it's still kind of up in the air. It hasn't officially been canceled, but it's like, you know what? It's gotten to a point where, like, if he's saying that, unless they want to pull again multiversal type crap, then it hasn't been officially announced, but maybe it's been quietly canceled. That's another concept. Do I think people would still kill and would love to see Mahershala Ali as Blade? Absolutely. What I personally like to see Ali as Blade. Hell yeah. Do I kind of care at this point? We're basically half a decade in, if not more than half a decade in, without seeing any real progress on it. Do I really care at this point if we were to get official news that the Blade movie has actually been canceled? No, not really. A lot of people have been asking if it's been quietly canceled anyway, so you would just be putting the cherry on top and wrapping the bow over something that we've been knew. Is the Blade movie still relevant? I think that's up for personal opinion, but I think more and more fans are leaning one way and saying, yeah, we're kind of forgetting about it at this point. And I'm one of them. I'll go and leave that video off here, guys. What do you think about the Blade movie, the status of it? Do you think there's still hope for it? You guys let me know if you know anything about that. Maybe y'all know more than I do. Shoot me any comments, thoughts, suggestions, theories, all that stuff in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.